What would a hard day be?
I mean, today, you know, for instance, they trained hard today, so they would have gone and done 4 6-minute games, but in between it, they would have come back out and they would have run, you know, a good 85%. They probably would have run 200 metres as well. In between them, what we've done is we'll football them, then we'll bring them out, take them out of their comfort zone, really work them hard, and then stick them straight back into the football.
Yeah.
So,
but you also brought in a sprint guide today, didn't you?
Yeah, we brought Darren Campbell in today just to see, only because we wanted to look at the running gait on about 6 or 7 players, because there might be another yard of pace in those players if we get the start and the running gait. So, you know, the running gait of a few players might be longer to start because they think they're going to get into their stride quicker when they're not by bounding. They're actually going to go into it by rat-a-tat and getting into it quicker. So we brought him in this morning just to have a look at 6 or 7 or 8 of them. But we do a lot of that, a lot of the science. We do a lot of, you know, where are they? How every day we'll score them. How have you slept? You know, what's your stress levels? How do you feel? What's your energy? So they have to put in their honest how they feel at that God-given moment. And there'll be a total score of 50. And if anybody, you know, when I look at them every morning, if there's an alarm bell, I might pull them in and say, you know, if you put down 5 for stress, where are you? What are you stressed about? It might not be something they want to talk to you about, but to be fair, they actually do.
We'll eliminate all the ambiguity in that. We've got a heart rate variability. So they get up in the morning and they plug into their phone, put a heart rate monitor on 30 seconds, and it goes straight to our head of performance, and he maps all their reading. It's exactly the same sort of thing. So, and he can predict, so he says, whether they're going to come down with a bit of a flu. He even says whether they've had an argument with their missus, but I'm not so sure about that.
You know, discussions.
But we have those discussions. It's much the same as the monitoring that you're doing.
That's good, because if you want someone to perform on the training ground that God-given day, and he's just had a row with his missus, or something's happened family-wise with them at home, no way will you get them to perform. I don't care who you are, no way will you get them to where you want to get them. And I think that their welfare is vital, especially if they're young.
Yeah.
We were talking there about using cross-sport influences. You were mentioning about having Darren Campbell come down to the training ground, and I know, certainly with your time with England, using all those small marginal gains that you can use to improve the game. What are some of the stuff that you've been doing within rugby and, Andreas, with basketball, some of the things where you can pull influences from?
Yeah, I think it's using all your experiences that you've had and what really works. And yes, I think where we've gone this year, we've probably gone back a couple of steps, and you know, we've just focused on what we're about, you know, and bringing in quality people to work and guys to understand the basics first and get the basics right. And so we've gone down a couple of levels to take ourselves back up, and then to start to bring in other people to come in and do that.
And Andreas, with basketball, I presume, certainly listening to some of the talk this evening and certainly the influences, I'm sure a few of you will go away with a few ideas of, we could implement that or pull that
I like the heart rate monitor. So, you know, there are a few things that we need to consider. I mean, S&C for us has been very important. And, you know, the physio support that we have and the medicine support, so that has been very important. But in terms of other sports, that's something that we need to explore more. And I think maybe potentially there's some opportunities to do some things with football or rugby, really. So, so that's definitely something for us to think in the future, I think.
I was going to say, we've got it at our disposal here. I mean, you know, I'd love to come down and have a look at how you're working.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah, I'd love to. You know, as you say, time is the factor, but you know, and likewise with the basketball, there's so much similar practice.
We've got a very small squad, so you'd have to bring your boots on.
It's a bit of a centre half, you know. My dad.
Fancy a time on the pitch again?
my dad actually was an apprentice with Leeds many years ago, but you know, again, those influences growing up, whether it's football, cricket, rugby, Gaelic, as we talked about earlier, doesn't matter. Some of the principles of our games, the kids, the players, they miss. It's territory, it's invasion, it's possession, it's scoring, it's stopping the opposition scoring. That's the bottom line. And we can talk all the sports science that we like, but and I find that we have to coach that, which is really sad. You know, they're not getting that basic core game discipline at a younger age nowadays.
And why do you think that is?
Part of what they get now is when they look at themselves, they only watch themselves. So when they get the feedback from their game and they're doing the analysis, they just look at their own clips. They don't look at other players and what they're doing. They don't, sort of look at the world's best players in their position. They don't have conversations with other players, and that's something we're trying to encourage. That you build partnerships.
Interesting.
You understand how a player will carry. How will he carry? Will he carry with his right hand and have a left hand fend and give me an offload? Does he step off his right? Does he run hard line? And everybody's different in the way they work. If somebody catches the ball, is he going to tip it onto me? And they're the traits that you build partnerships with, and it's that understanding that we want players to look at the game more. And also, I think players probably don't watch as much rugby at a younger age, because I guess apart from the Six Nations, there's not a rugby program on terrestrial TV
And
for
that
them to
comes
watch.
back, and that also comes back to Steve Lansdown's vision about it. Getting more children involved in sport. I mean, we've all been discussing a bit earlier about growing up, kicking a football around or throwing a ball around, and sport that you did, and it just doesn't seem to happen as much.
It needs to start at schools, though. No matter what we talk about around this table, someone needs to say, right, PE's coming back. Yeah. Like it or lump it, PE's coming back.
The PE teacher at the end is very happy to hear that.
But it needs to, doesn't it? It needs to for our country. Do we not see that? I mean, it would be interesting if we were sat across the table, because we're agreeing a lot and enjoying this. I'd like to see the guy that's stopping it. He'd be the one I'd want to sit across the table with and have a word with.
We'll arrange that for next year.
I think it's been reversed, and I think in a lot of the curriculum now that is definitely coming back. School fields are being not repurchased, but different venues are. The biggest thing is in what you're talking about was that we sold a lot of our school fields, which was a real problem, certainly in the London area. When you never get them back.
Where we look to develop rugby in Bristol is not playing 15-a-side games for youngsters. It's playing 10-a-side games. Or if you only got nine people interested in playing rugby at your school, right, we'll have 9-a-side games. So you get hybrid games coming together, which they get the enjoyment of scoring tries, beating somebody, making a tackle. That's what we're trying to develop here, and I think that could really take off.
I think it's building relationships with schools as well. Yes, there is probably someone that is stopping it, but I think for our point of view, especially with basketball as well, because in this country in particular, it's not as developed as football and rugby. I think it's going into schools and kind of presenting sports and kind of trying to build relationships. So if it's like something that we call Hoops for Health, where we talk about healthy lifestyle and we get them to experience a different sport, I think it's how do we make schools to buy into our sports clubs more. And I think it's kind of something that we got to look into. And obviously, government has to make some decision in terms of.
It would be easier to develop basketball as well. Because it's indoors.
Yes.
Well, and also most schools have. You go into any primary or secondary school. Every single school has a basketball hoop and a hall.
Yeah,
and they can always do it. They don't all have a rugby pitch, and they don't have a football field.
We have a responsibility as well
Absolutely.
to actually educate our children
Absolutely.
as parents to encourage them to play sport.
Yes,
I think
yes.
when we look at the parenting and how it's changed, and we talked about being outside, kids have now got Xboxes, they've got their phones, and they're not encouraged to go out and exercise and take part in sport as much. And I think we always damn the PE teacher, but I think as parents, the support that you give your child is vitally important, and encourage them to do it.
They don't have to be outside. You can take them swimming.
Well, that's where you started. You did a lot of swimming.
I did a lot of swimming at an early age. You can do a lot of swimming. I mean, it's there is no real excuse for it. We can do that, but you need to get them into an early age where it becomes habitual for them that's what they do. And the problem you get boys and girls when they meet each other. That's the problem, because then they won't want to go swimming with dad or whatever. Like they want to go and see, their boyfriend or their girlfriend. That's the problem.
But it does come back to parenting. I mean, there are so many, there's so much study that has gone into the effect of parental influence on children leading healthy lifestyles. And one of the quirks of it particularly is the mother, not so much the father. It comes often down to the mother, and if she is sporty, then the children tend to be sporty. I don't know why, but it seems to be associated. But naturally men will be more sporty than women. A lot of people that I mix with would fundamentally disagree with that, but the mums have a huge influence on how active the children are. You've spoken before to me about the joy of a Christmas Day run.
Joy of a Christmas Day run with the kids and my wife, and she's encouraged the children to run, and that's been great for us. Unfortunately, I can't do it anymore. I can't keep up with them, but but that's part of the fun of it, isn't it? It's doing some exercise.
The wife and kids can come in with us. We're in Christmas Day. You might have to start cooking the dinner if you give me that excuse out.
Well, we've talked a lot about growing up in England and, the changes that have happened over the last, 20, 30 years and, busier roads. Many people remember playing football, cricket in the streets, and they don't do that anymore. Andreas, you grew up in Greece. Was it a very different experience? Is it a different experience now?
I think children in Greece play different sports. Like I remember myself doing swimming, I was playing handball, I was playing basketball. Then later on I decided basketball was the direction I wanted to go. And I think, you mentioned that. I think that's children have to experience different sports, and then, they will decide which sport they want to kind of go with.
But try as many as you possibly can.
That worked for me anyway, so I don't know.
But it's interesting, where you come from in terms of, in Greece and the club that you were affiliated to. And I know, Sean, you've had experience, obviously, with Ospreys. This whole multi-sport approach, which certainly is part of Steve Lansdown's idea. Olympiacos, who you played for, Olympiacos famous for their football team, their basketball team, even a water polo team. And Sean, you've almost experiencing a bit of a deja vu in terms of with Ospreys and their merge, if you like, going into the Liberty Stadium and with the Swans. Do you all sort of feel that is ultimately going to be hugely beneficial?
I can see it. Even Barcelona, it's a club, isn't it? It's not just a football club, it's a sports institution. I see it. It was definitely a factor at the Ospreys and Swansea City that a new entity, the Ospreys, a new brand, new stadium, Liberty Stadium. The Swans sort of had languished in the lower leagues, but then all of a sudden the two sort of entities came together and definitely fed off one another's ambition, the new stadium, the propaganda, the support, and the success, and I think that has been sustainable. We see Swansea up to 6th in the Premiership, Ospreys at top of the league. I think there's a model there, but what we have here is a potential to make it even bigger. It's a bigger city, it's a bigger area, locality. I think the ambition is bigger, personally. So
I think the new stadium's a massive factor, wasn't it, on both clubs?
Huge.
Rather than
huge factor, because the fans had somewhere to go. It was it is now, and as the rugby coach, I bought 2 season tickets to go and watch the Swans. My boys go and watch Ospreys, they go and watch the Swans. They will obviously now watch Bristol and Bristol City, and they want to come and watch the basketball. Yeah. It has a knock-on effect.
I brought a team to play against Sean when I was coaching Edinburgh, and it's such an inspiring place to go and play as well. And what was great was that on both sides of the dressing room, you had pictures of the Swans and the Ospreys players together. Everybody was interlinked, and you go onto the pitch, a fantastic surface to play on, which is what we now have, and a really inspiring stadium. And that is what brings people to the area, and brings people to play for Ospreys and play for Swansea. And I think that's what hopefully we are able to create. When they see the stadium, they see what Bristol's about, they see the supporter bases that we have. For you guys to sell out. For me, thinking that you sell out in the National League One, I think is so impressive. To be able to do that, and that's the way that you play your football, but also shows that there's a passion for Bristol City to be at the very top. And similar for us, playing in the Championship, to have 7,500, 8,000 people coming to watch us play in a new stadium is brilliant.
And that's only going to get bigger, isn't it? As well,
it can only increase.
And certainly with your players as well. A number of the the Welsh internationals, for example, that we've mentioned. The idea of running out into a fantastic stadium and into a bowl where you can hear, they're used to hearing 80,000 sometimes chanting.
That's how we're able to sign them, Lisa. And that was one of the main reasons Andy approached me. I didn't want to come for any other reason than to be ambitious, to be part of a project that was similarly ambitious, to hit those heights again. There's nothing like, we were just talking on Ashton Gate the other day, a Heineken Cup match, Champions Cup now. Imagine playing Toulon, Toulouse, in front of 20, 25,000 people on Ashton Gate on that surface with seasoned internationals and a core of Bristol lads. it gives me goosebumps now thinking about it. So that's why we're here.
I think it also helps when you're recruiting as well. It helps Steve and I, certainly in the summer, when they see plans of where the club want to go. Obviously we had to beat off championship clubs to get some of them. It wasn't about money. It's a thing that put around football. All football just want to sign for money. It certainly didn't arise with a lot of our signings. They see, obviously, Steve's enthusiasm as much as anything, and they want to play for Steve. But as much as anything, they did like the idea of coming to Bristol. It's a big city, and you get the feeling that Bristol are waiting for something to happen here, whether it be all our sports or anything. So.
I know Andreas, I'm sure, is listening to this with obviously the problem that we can't fit the small detail of a basketball arena into the stadium, but in terms of you, the crowds have a huge effect, don't they? I mean, we've seen it in a lot of the games, sold out in a lot of the basketball games, but you desperately want to be in a bigger venue. Yeah,
I think that's the kind of next step for us, really. So, and that's part of the journey. This is where we want to get to. SGS is great. The Wise campus is a very good facility for us, and it's a very noisy place. A great atmosphere. I mean, the game last week it was really loud there, and it kind of has a bit of a unique atmosphere because of that. But I think long term, we want a bigger facility, and I think we want to be closer. To football and rugby as well. There's no question about that kind of thing. So.
Our boys go and watch a few games, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Quite a few of our boys go down to the games. They enjoy it. They like it.
I think it's the pace and it's the speed of the game. I think they really enjoy that. And I think it's great to see how the three sports work together. Really, Greg Street, our captain, he's friends with some of the football guys and the rugby guys, and I think they speak to each other.
Yeah.
And, our guys have gone down to watch the games. We've gone to see rugby when they beat Worcester. So and my guys have been going to the football games quite consistently, actually. So I think it's great that relationship. And I think you talked about Olympiacos and. They have a volleyball, handball team, and I think this is why Bristol Sport is really exciting. I think the whole project is very exciting, and we all around the table, I'm certain.
When we saw the size of the players, we nearly signed them.
Yeah, well, you've already done the signing the trial at the American. Yeah.
So, that could be a good multi-sport deal.
Yeah, when I was talking about cross-sport, I wasn't meaning on a weekend where you suddenly need a big tall one.
What do they do on Sunday? They play on a Friday and a Saturday, so Sunday surely they want another game.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be all right,
They'll be all right to stroll out, yeah, I'm sure. The best and worst quality as a coach?
My worst is I hate losing.
Patience is mine as well.
My worst is I probably use too much bad language.
Any one of those, losing, bad language, honesty, I could have chucked them in as well.
Where those treetops listen and children listen to hear sleigh bells.